getting worse.
You knew this was gonna happen.
So with everybody talking about the eclipse coming, I figured I would tell you the next story in the Twilight Saga. Here's Eclipse.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
I'm surprised they let it go on this long.
So Edward and Bella are in their little field where he's asking her every 2 seconds to marry him. She thinks that if they get married, that everyone's going to think that he knocked her up. So she says that she'll marry him if he turns her, even though they already had a family meeting to discuss turning her, and they've decided that he'll do it after graduation. But honestly, I say why graduate? Then if somebody sees her in the sunlight, they'll just think she's a knocked up stripper who's covered in glitter.
There's no way to make a career out of that.
It's hard to say with all those clothes on.
But her dad's also worried that she's going to end up on a pole, so he tells her that she needs to spend more time with other people and crawl out of Edward's ass.
It's the only thing she cares about.
Later that night, she wants to go see Jacob because he's not returning her calls. But she can't go because Edward broke her truck so he can lecture her.
That's really selfish.
How did he know she was going there?
Alice had a vision and ratted her out.
Being an ass.
But I thought vampire powers didn't work on her.
She confounds us all.
Well, they don't unless the story needs them to. Then they work just fine.
Jasper, no fair with the mood control thing.
Sorry, Bella.
So she doesn't go to see Jacob, and the next day, Edward suggests that they go see her mom in Florida in front of her dad, who's like, I told you to spend less time together, not go off to a place where you wear less clothes for a weekend.
Huh?
Which, he can't even go outside, so I'm not even sure what the point of him going was. And it's even more pointless when you find out that they needed her gone because Victoria was back in town, and they planned on hunting her. So they end up losing her and pissing off the werewolves because they stupidly sent their fastest runner to the Sunshine State where he just sat inside and watched other people tan.
Never lose focus.
On Monday, Jacob's waiting outside the school to warn Edward that they need to stay off their land, but somehow also says that they let Victoria get away so they could flex nuts on Emmett, who they knew only went on their land to get her. Then Bella skips school to go hang out with Jacob, who doesn't even want to talk to her.
Shut up, bitch.
But when they get to the reservation, a bunch of shirtless boys tell her that he's been obsessing over her. There's apparently wolf telepathy, so the whole pack knows that she's the only thing in his spank bank.
How embarrassing.
He also tells her that there's a thing called imprinting. That's kind of like when a werewolf finds the one.
Oh, so Jacob imprinted on her. That's why he's so obsessed with her.
It has nothing to do with imprinting.
He kind of hints at it, but dude might want to work on his flirting skills.
It makes me sick. Better you really be dead than one of them.
But this must have not affected her much because she gets home later that night after some dude breaks into their house while Charlie was taking a nap reading a case file, ironically of the missing persons report of the dude that broke in.
It's me!
See, a year ago, that dude was leaving a bar when he was attacked in the middle of the street. His drunk ass tried to figure out who hit him, but when he was thrown across the street by his throat, he thought it might be a better idea to run for help. But when he got tripped, he gave up on going to safety and stupidly ran down a dark alley instead. And then when he got to the docks, he apparently forgot how to turn and was attacked again. This time he got his hand bit, so he just gave up on living and laid down screaming like a little bitch.
Yeah, but isn't vampire venom supposed to hurt?
Well, when Bella got bitten by James, it seemed more like she was having an orgasm, and she was pretty quiet considering that she had several cuts and a broken leg.
Badass.
It would be one tough little newborn.
So this dude, big baby.
Definitely won't make my list of top 10 favorite evenings.
But now it seems that he's just another vampire who likes to sneak into teenage girls' bedrooms.
It's very common. You can Google it.
Well, Edward shows up because he was worried, but smells that there was somebody in their house. So he takes Bella to his house after Charlie was just pissed off that she got home so late. They know that they have to protect Bella and Charlie, but they can't hunt Victoria and stalk the Swan family at the same time, so they ask Jacob and the wolves to watch her house.
Aren't there like 7 Cullens? Couldn't Alice just have a vision the next time she's around and have Edward chase her this time? Then they could stalk Bella and her dad all they wanted.
Shut up. If they don't pawn off the security detail to the guard dogs, they won't have time to eat. Plus, it gives Jacob the opportunity to have the elders tell her what a piece of shit the vampires were to them and why they hate each other. See, some werewolves saw that a vampire killed some of their people, so they killed him, and then his girlfriend came for revenge, started killing the tribe.
No! You're not thinking clearly! Don't do that!
Their chief was the only werewolf, so he attacked her, but not right away. He let a bunch of his people die, and then he went after her after he saw his son was dead. But then when he went after her, she was about to kill him, so his third wife stabbed herself in the stomach, so the vampire would get distracted by the smell of her blood, because apparently the vampire didn't cut anybody when she killed him. But somehow that worked, and she went for the third wife, and she died.
Why did she stab herself in the stomach if she just needed a little bit of blood?
Look, it was an emergency situation. She didn't have time to think. But she did figure that the vampire lady would be super hungry considering she hadn't fed on any of the people she was killing.
I can never stop once I've started.
But every time there's new werewolves, the elders tell the story about how Taha Aki's third wife saved the tribe.
She saved the tribe.
What was her name?
I don't remember.
That's not a good start, but keep going.
But anyway, that's why the tribe hate vampires.
So the two vampires that actually did something wrong are both dead, but they still hate all the vampires.
Yes, Lori, that's how racism works.
That's what Jesse Jackson was talking about.
The Cullens didn't do shit to the tribe, but the tribe still hates them because something happened to their friend 200 years ago, and they just keep telling future generations that their kind suck. Pun intended.
Did you get that joke?
It's really funny.
But in other wackadoo logic, the Cullens think that a string of murders in Seattle is the Volturi building an army to attack the Cullens because Arrow wants Alice and Edward to join him. But they know that they won't if their family's still alive.
Maybe he was wrong.
But their mental gymnastics aren't too far off because we learn that it's Victoria that's having the missing guy Riley build an army so she can distract the Cullens so she can kill Bella. But the Volturi just happen to find out about this and are like, let's see how this plays out. Even though these newborns are making the news with all their murders, and the Volturi's sole job is to make sure vampires keep a low profile.
What did I say about a low profile?
Jacob, on the other hand, is being very blunt about his intentions. He just flat out tells Bella he's in love with her, and that his heart pumps with warm blood that causes erections that Edward probably can't get.
I'm sure things work the same way.
Plus, if she stays with him, she'll be able to see her friends and family, instead of avoiding them until they're dead like Edward wants her to.
Everyone you know will be dead.
But she turns Jacob down.
I kissed Bella, and she broke her hand, punching my face.
Does that mean he imprinted on her?
No, but that does mean that if she chose him, that eventually he would dump her ass on the spot, and that she would have one hell of a time trying to get Edward to take her back, let alone turning her into a vampire.
I just couldn't live in a world where you don't exist.
On second thought, she's probably fine. But after Carlisle treats her hand, Bella goes to see Rosalie, who's still against her turning. See, she wasn't mean to her because she doesn't like her. Turns out, she's jealous of her for having a choice. She apparently used to have the perfect human life.
And nobody's life is perfect. Mine was.
Including and up to the part where her new boyfriend and his friends got drunk, beat her, gang raped her, and left her for dead in a gutter.
Absolutely perfect.
Well, that's actually great. Yeah, it's perfect.
Then Carlisle turned her to save her life, and she's still pissed off about it because she can't have babies.
That's ridiculous.
So graduation rolls around, and at a party at the Cullens' house, Alice sees that the newborns are having a sniffing Bella's dirty laundry party and are going to be coming after her soon. They then have a family meeting during the party, and it's a good thing that Jacob showed up after he was uninvited, because he volunteers the werewolves to help them fight the baby vampires. But Bella doesn't want them to.
You know, your lack of confidence in us is a little insulting.
But Edward's like, hey, if there's a chance he might die, let's let him take it.
I'm always hoping for that.
So the next morning, they start training to fight the newborns. Jasper tells the wolves that baby vampires are really strong huggers, and that they expect obvious attacks. Most likely because they're obvious.
Obviously.
But they're stronger than normal vampires because they still have human blood in their veins. So they're like crackhead vampires.
Why'd you become a vampire? Why can't you be normal?
And Jasper knows this because he stupidly stopped to talk to 3 women in the middle of the night in the middle of the desert. The woman who turned him put him in charge of her newborn army because of his military background, and his mood control helped them focus while they were training. And somehow after learning this, Bella has a dream that Victoria's behind this newborn army, so everyone accepts this as fact, and now they have to figure out a plan to keep her safe instead of being bait.
Something I noticed about fishing, it never works out so well for the bait.
They want to lure the army to the vampire baseball field, and then have Stinky Jacob carry her somewhere that she and Edward can camp until it's over. And since they have one more night before this all goes down, the Cullen family go out to dinner, leaving the house for Bella to ask Edward to take her V-card.
Take it. I don't want it.
But he turns her down because he wants to be married first.
It's just not normal.
Although she did have a compelling argument that probably would have worked on me.
There's a bed.
Stop right there. I'm in.
But he does propose, and she accepts so she can finally get laid.
Gotta get that protein in there.
But you said that blood makes boners, so how could they have sex?
Look, she's still a virgin, and her mom gave her the sex talk when she was 8, so he might be hoping she forgot about that part.
You don't know anything.
And who knows, maybe he'll just try it anyway. Kind of like trying to push cooked spaghetti through a keyhole.
I heard it sucks. Bad.
So the next morning, they make a trail leading to the baseball field, and Jacob carries her to a mountain, while the newborns walk underwater to get from Seattle to Forks. Sure, there are faster ways, but okay. But this is probably why it takes them a day longer to get there as well. That and the storm that hits. It's super cold, so Jacob has to snuggle up on Bella in front of Edward. Unfortunately, heat transfer wouldn't work without skin-to-skin contact, so Bella's just gonna have to survive by being the main character.
Survival 101.
I bet Edward's really pissed about that.
Yeah, he was about to let her die rather than let Jacob touch her. And considering that Jacob would rather have Bella die than become a vampire, she really needs to get better taste in guys. I mean, these two can't decide if protecting her is their #1 priority or if she'd be better off dead.
I mean, why didn't you just let the van crush me and save yourself all this regret?
And also, Bella didn't wear her engagement ring, so Jacob would have a clear head for the fight. But he also said that he was going to stay behind and use his pact telepathy, kind of like Wolf Radio, to give him a play-by-play of the fight.
What a brilliant tackle, and the fans go wild.
But when Bella wakes up, Edward tricks her into talking about their engagement, so Jacob will hear it.
Well, that was a dick move.
Well, he and Jacob had a talk last night about who she's going to choose, and since Edward's starting to like Jacob, he thought he should hear it from her that he proposed, even though she said she was going to say something after the fight.
She'll be glad she doesn't have to deal with you anymore.
But Jacob finds out and takes off. She chases after him, and he says that her choice might be easier if he gets killed. So she tells him to kiss her. Hasn't even been engaged for 2 whole days and is already kissing another guy.
This is the 21st century.
But he still wants to go kill something, so he takes off. But at least he's not suicidal anymore.
Super.
He gets to the baseball field right as the newborns show up, and they start to fight.
It's time, it's time, it's time.
Now, the baby vampires may be stronger, but apparently they have porcelain heads that break off real easy. Victoria also showed up without Alice, who was specifically tracking her, knowing that she was even on her way.
I can't see past you and your pack of mutts.
But she sees that Bella isn't there, and she and Riley track Edward's scent to the mountain.
Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
They try to tell Riley that he's being used, but he doesn't buy it and attacks. Then this werewolf Seth bites his hand off, and he just lays there screaming like a little bitch again, so Victoria starts to run. But Edward tells her that she won't get this close to killing Bella again, so they fight. But Riley sees that she's getting beat up, so he knocks Seth out and jumps in. Victoria's about to rip Edward's head off, but Bella remembers the third wife story and cuts herself safely on the arm. Not like that moron the elders told her about. So Edward gets free, and Seth drags Riley into a bush. Then Edward bites Victoria's neck, and her head falls off. But there's no time to celebrate. They have to set this bitch on fire and get to the fight because apparently the Volturi are on the way. And when they get there, they see that nobody on their side was even remotely injured.
Oh, is that because Jasper used his mood control?
No, he forgot he could do that.
My apologies, ma'am.
It seems that all of them are badasses.
We were lucky.
But they missed a vampire, and he just jumps out and grabs a wolf with like everyone right there. Then Wolf Jacob saves her, but he gets grabbed himself and gets hugged really tight. And then half his bones get broken before the rest of the wolf pack can save him. Then all the wolves fuck off because they don't want to get killed by the Volturi. They see that the Cullens saved this little girl from the fight, but the Volturi want her dead, so Esme pleads for her life.
Please. Don't.
But Jane's like, alright, but we'll tell the council Bella's still human. So now the Cullens are like, fine, take the bitch. We don't even know her.
I wanted to help people.
Then Bella goes to see Jacob, who's all, love me and my warm-blooded penis.
That's it.
You know how much I wish it was enough.
And in true Bella fashion, she overcorrects and sets a wedding date with Edward.
What does any of this have to do with an eclipse?
Fuck if I know.
Total misunderstanding.
One more thing.
I'm gonna need numbers. You're welcome to join us. Believe me, I want to.
Decisions.
You may be of great use to me.
That's an intriguing idea.
No, I think you pretty much nailed it.
Problem solved.
And I need you now, tonight. I fucking need you more than ever.
We're done here.